Be'lakor, the fearsome dark master of this world, what a laughable joke. If this charlatan was truly Be'lakor, he'd have tripped over his own feet by now. The monster we see there in Albion ready to conquer the world, that is not Be'lakor, but a trick. A charlatan created by the great trickster himself. He's just a shadow of what he claims to be. His supposed powers of magic and manipulation may impress the weak and feeble-minded, but for those of us who know the true nature of power, his spells and illusions are nothing more than parlor tricks, and his claims of superiority over mortals are just as hollow. He may think himself above the fray, but he's merely a pawn in a greater game. Then there is his arrogance. This creature thinks he is entitled to greatness, but he's done nothing to earn it. He's not a leader, nor a warrior. He's just a coward hiding behind his magic and illusions, hoping to fool the world into thinking he's something he's not. Be'lakor's followers are just as deluded as he is. The true power in this world lies with those who are willing to fight for it, to earn it with their blood, sweat, and tears. Be'lakor is just a false king sitting on a throne of lies. So, to Be'lakor I say this. Your time is over. You've had your chance to prove yourself, and you've failed. You're nothing but a footnote in the history books, a forgotten pretender to the throne of true power. And when the time comes for the true leaders to step forward and take their rightful place, you will be swept away like the dust that you are.
Welcome everyone, Costin here with my campaign overview guide for Be'lakor of the Warriors of Chaos. Be'lakor is one of the most powerful legendary lords in the game, for good reason. He has a very powerful start, like his starting army, between the fact that he starts with demonic units and he can get a lot of units as well through the Gifts of Chaos early on, because he starts in neutral territory, so he can get the Hell Cannon, he can get a unit of Bloodletters, he can get the unit of Plague Bearers, and then of course he can do local recruitment. So he can start like 15 units total in his army. That is a really powerful starting army, and these units aren't really weak. Well, except the Demonettes, you just want to get rid of those eventually, but still, this is a pretty powerful starting army. And the factions that he starts at war with, the faction that he starts at war with, the Sightless, are not going to be able to stand up to him. Because while that is a Lord of Change, it's only 4 units in this army, and one of them, you can see it's a Chaos Fury. So yeah, just like 2 Blue Horrors, a Chaos Fury, Lord of the Change is easily out-resolved. Right? Gain some favor, and then take this Dark Fortress. And that's your first turn. And you've gotten a vassal already. And second turn, you'll be able to get a second vassal, because you can make the Sightless as one of your vassals. Like, it used to be you couldn't, because you had to destroy them as part of your short campaign victory condition. But now you can actually make them a vassal and achieve success there. You also need to deal with Nakari and with Sigvald, though that's not really going to be too much of an issue during the course of this campaign. I mean, Nakari is an issue that's going to resolve itself on its own if you give it enough time. The elves will win that war the vast majority of times. So you're basically left in a situation where the only thing really you need to do is deal with Sigvald. Long term, you do need to take a bunch of settlements, but it's not really too much of an issue. Now, let's talk about Be'lakor. Beyond the incredibly powerful start position that he has, with a lot of flexibility on the campaign map, he also has even more flexibility because of these portals. So you can use this portal in his starting province to teleport in 2 other locations from the very start of his campaign. He has one over here in the Ostermark, and then he has another one over here, down here, in the Southern Chaos Way. So you have a great deal of flexibility in this campaign. You could go down here, bitch slap Kyra's Fate Weaver, make him your vassal, take a bunch of Dark Fortresses over here, invade Illustria if you so desire, or invade the Southlands. Great deal of flexibility in this campaign. That's what makes it a fun campaign, despite the fact that you're going to pretty much steamroll your enemies from the very start of it. It's not really going to be too much of an issue. Now, on top of that, beyond that kind of flexibility on your campaign map, Be'lakor does have an additional strength, and this is something he shares with Archaon. He can confederate other legendary lords of the Warriors of Chaos. So Sigvald over here and Valkia over here to the northwest, they're prime opportunities for confederation very early on in your campaign. Later on, of course, you can go with things like Azazel, you can get Archaon himself, you can get Kolic and Village, you can get all of the legendary lords of chaos during the course of this campaign. That is an incredible amount of power. I'd probably start with Sigvald, get Valkia, and while you're at it, you might also want to get Malekith as a vassal. But let's talk about his campaign benefits. Beyond Be'lakor's own skill line, like his skill line, he's a pretty powerful combatant. Like, when we're looking at it, he gets 2 authority, Undivided authority, and the ability, the Shadow Shroud. Now, the Shadow Shroud just gives him 40% damage resistance, pretty powerful, pretty good in combat. He gains experience for Undivided Lords and Heroes. Warband upgrade cost is minus 75% for demonic units in his army, 8 leadership, various benefits to different kinds of different benefits for different kinds of demons, like weapon strength for Khorne demons or melee defense for Nurgle demons. You generally don't want to care about the vast majority of demons unless they're like bloodletters. The other ones are not worth really looking at least of the base ones. Like more specialized units, absolutely. Like if we're thinking about more specialized demonic units, absolutely. There are some really, really good choices like the Beast of Nurgle, for instance, Plague drones, etc. Like there's some really good unit choices available over there. Then benefits in combat, hero recruit rank for all provinces to cast sorcerers, magic benefit, and then all authority as well as generating corruption with all of the chaos gods. So a great deal of power for Be'lakor over there, but it's really the faction-wide benefits that make him powerful. He gets a minus 25% upkeep for all demonic units. He can transform enemy human lords into demon princes when defeated in battle or targeted by your heroes. And because he starts to the chaos gifts, that means he can get things like the growth or casualty replenishment from Nurgle, the post-battle loot benefit from Khorne, the income from all buildings at the cost of control from Slaanesh, and basically Zilch when it comes to Siege. Yeah, Siege is pretty worthless. So starting with all those gifts is actually a significant benefit, because otherwise if you're playing a Chaos Undivided Legendary Lord, you have to generally like get like the Searing Branding or the Rusted Branding or the Sensuous Branding or the Arcane Branding in order to unlock even one gift. Starting with one significant benefit during the course of your campaign, though of course getting the second one is going to require you to go all the way down here. But you're not going to need the second one, because you start with one and you have a lot of opportunities to get a lot of souls very quickly in your campaign. So one of the things like you can do very, very quickly here is you can, obviously you would want to get Ruinous Bulwark. The Shatterstone ability is in itself very, very powerful. And another thing you would want to probably get is Bloom of Decay, right? And maybe even the income from income from post-battle loot, or to get the blood letters. Those are the two choices there, though not necessarily right from the very start as I've done it here. Like you might want to wait until you're actually fighting a battle until you use that. But a great deal of strength during this campaign. What would be the best campaign plan? Well, I've done a whole campaign early game guide for Be'lakor, but it basically goes like this. One of the first things you should do is take the Citadel of Lead, like that's turn 2, get the full stack of units, or as close to a full stack of units as you can, and then come over here and beat the crap out of Wulfric and make him your vassal. So take the Trollfjord for yourself, then go to Wulfric, beat the crap out of him, give the Trollfjord, sell the Trollfjord back to him. If you want to be very sneaky, you could just leave the Trollfjord alone, like just bypass it, show up to Wulfric, take this Dark Fortress, and then turn back around and deal with the Trollfjord. That way you'll be able to keep the Dark Fortress. But leaving the Monolith in Wulfric's hands would actually make him a better vassal. Like, you can have really powerful vassals or really weak vassals, though you should be careful about how you decide to handle that. Anyway, after that, Doomkeep, make these guys vassals, then the Varg, make them a vassal, and then head over here, take the Dark Fortresses. There's 2 Dark Fortresses. Take this, free the Dark Fortresses, make Sigvald, confederate Sigvald forcefully, like basically just take Sigvald's Dark Fortress before he can take a second one, and you'll get the option to forcefully confederate him. You could actually even just ignore everything else in Norska and just go over there to Sigvald, sneak an army here, so you can just confederate him. Because his army won't generally be in the Dark Fortress. Like, Dark Fortresses can be fairly formidable, and the AI just treats them as unbreakable fortresses. Like, typically the AI will have its army somewhere else, because Dark Fortresses have significant defenses, but you can sneak an army in and just take it out, and since Sigvald only has that one Dark Fortress, you'll be able to forcefully confederate them. By the way, take these Dark Fortresses, then march west, take the Frozen City, take all of this territory, deal with Hellebron, and crucially, vassalize Hellebron, because you're going to gain a lot of this territory for yourself, and you can give some of it to these vassals. Like, you can even vassalize these greenskins if you move quickly enough, vassalize these greenskins. But what I would do during the course of this campaign is I would take these two provinces and vassalize Hellebron, then give them to Hellebron, and watch as Hellebron, controlled by the AI with just 2 or maybe 3 provinces if you decide to give them to her, with the exception of the Frozen City, of course. Watch her as she unleashes stacks upon stacks against whichever factions you declare war on. And then come over here and forcefully confederate Valkia. She should only have 1 Dark Fortress, so no problem there. And then vassalize Malekith. Deal with Grumbrindle, maybe vassalize Grumbrindle. Not sure if that's actually workable. By the way, deal with Grumbrindle if he's still alive by that point. Beat the crap out of Malekith, vassalize Malekith, and suddenly you've got Hellebron, Malekith, and an enormous amount of power, and you've got Valkia and Sigvald. After that point, just start declaring war on factions. Like, this is the thing. You've got Malekith and Hellebron. Use them. Declare war on factions. Like Alifanar, he should be drowned in a tide of Dark Elves without you doing a damn thing about it. Or send Valkia to help out Malekith and sell territory to Malekith as you take it. And then order Hellebron to launch a naval invasion. Either way, once you've dealt with the situation here, yeah, maybe you keep an army under Valkia. Maybe you keep 2 armies under Valkia and Sigvald. Yes, get Slaanesh and Khorne to work together. While the other armies that you have start marching over here east because you want to get Archeon. That's your long-term plan. Or you could just decide, you know what, screw it, let's conquer the entirety of Bretonnia, Ulthuan, the Empire at this stage, and just leave Archeon for much, much later during the course of a campaign. Those are your choices. Regardless of what you do decide to do and how you decide to do it, you do have a great deal of power. You do have the ability. You don't have a limit on gifted units, and you can upgrade demonic units, like the basic demonic units, like Bloodletters to Exalted Bloodletters, Demonites to Exalted Demonites, Plague Bearers to Exalted Plague Bearers, and of course, Pink Horrors to Exalted Pink Horrors of Siege. So Be'lakor does have an enormous amount of power during the course of his campaign and a great deal of flexibility. His ability to vassalize Malekith in itself is an enormous power. And it won't just stop there. Oh, you want to vassalize Alariel while she has the Sword of Cain? You can do that, or you can pick up the Sword of Cain for yourself. Also, funnily enough, you can open more portals over here. So one of the things you could do, you could just send a lord over here by the Shrine of Cain, wait for the Stark Elven faction to pick up the Sword of Cain, then teleport Be'lakor over here, pick up the Sword of Cain for yourself, and thus become unstoppable, because that's what you do with the Sword of Cain. Though it does have significant diplomatic downsides, but then again, do you care about diplomacy? Everyone hates you anyway, so do you really care all that much? And you're capable of fighting them off anyway, so just get the Sword of Cain and fight the endgame crisis from turn 20 or something like that. Ridiculous amount of power in this campaign. It can be pretty dull as a campaign, I'm not going to lie, because you do have a lot of power. But, you know, if you're just starting out, if you just want a campaign where you're curb stomping your enemy into the ground very, very quickly, very easily, this is a campaign for you. Kostin here signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.